All right, folks, I'm back out here working on the Acura Guinea. I got one of those billet shifters. This is the Jackspania brand. You know, it's basically, comparing to the pictures online, it's basically the K-tuned one, just obviously cheaper than 400 bucks. I got it used on Marketplace. Missing a couple bolts, so I had to make do with my own little setup here. It also came with the upgraded shifting cables from Jackspania. I'm gonna try to get those installed. I'm working on it right now in the car. I've disassembled most of the center console. I didn't really do a show and tell on that because you can find a lot of guides online. How to basically take most of this stuff out yourself, like all the center console pieces, if you could see it down there, as well as the center console itself. So I'm going to try to take out the rest of the shifter here. There's just the 4 bolts in the corners, as well as taking off the old shifting cables. And then under the car, there should be a rubber grommet, and then these old cables should pop out through there. Let me work on getting the rest of this thing out. Hopefully these bolts aren't too bad. We'll see how it goes here. Light. There you go, got one of these bolts out. You might be able to see here, I got a hose clamp on the old shifter stack here, and I don't know, I've seen a couple other people have a similar issue that the shifting boot like slides up and down between your shift knob. So if you put this underneath the shift boot, when you try to drop this back on, it helps hold it up tight to the shift knob so it doesn't, move around. Just makes it look a little bit cleaner in here. I'm gonna have to kind of see how this stock shift boot fits. Ugh. When I get that other shifter in here, I might need a longer one or something. Might be able to adjust it, do the same kind of deal here. There's enough interest on it, I'll do a better tutorial on how I took apart most of the center console here. A lot of these things just pop out, and then there's a couple Phillips head screws that take the rest of the pieces apart, including in the in the glove box in the center. There's some Phillips screws. Just didn't think it was that needed. There's a couple other people on YouTube there that have already like how to take it apart basically. I guess as you could clearly see, this stock one's made completely out of plastic. So hopefully that solid aluminum one will make it feel better in the car. Got another bolt out. Alright, so that should be the final bolt. I already did one of the other ones earlier, so I was already missing one. It's over on the bench there. I think the other step here is, I'll see if I can get a little closer for you. There's a bent metal clip that holds in this shifter cable, so I'm going to try to bend that open with a pair of needle nose pliers, and see if I could take that back out. Yeah, so in here you could see a metal, looks like a metal seat clamp. Yeah, there you go, a metal clamp going around it. Kind of looks like you just separate these 2 pieces of metal and it should slide off, hopefully. You get that going. Yeah, I don't think I need to take the whole thing off. Maybe you can see it in there. It already popped off the bottom of the shifter. Yeah, you can see it swinging around. So now the next part you got to work on is under the dash here a little bit. Right in here, there's, situate the light. There's this other metal clamp right here that apparently you pull up on this. Maybe put a flathead in there to pry up on it, and that should release it. See, let me go, probably go grab a big flathead and might be able to get up in there. Alright, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to plan on how I'm going to take this out, and I'll come back and show you. Alright, back here again. So what I found to be the most helpful part of this was I moved this black box that used to be kind of in the way here. I undid the 2 bolts right here, they're just 10 mils, and then you get a little bit more access to the clamp down here that needs to come off. And then you're gonna try to at least fit a screwdriver in here, and it looks like you're able to pry up on it a little bit. Maybe try to twist it. So then back, might be kind of an awkward angle, back under here you could see I'm getting a little bit of space in there, so now I'm going to try to see if I could jam a screwdriver in that specific part and pry up some more as it keeps coming, hopefully. Oh, there you go. And as it flies into infinity, there it is. Oops. There you go, and pop that off. So it's just just a push-on clamp that goes around it. Clearly a pain in the butt to take off, but finally got it. And then let's see, how does this come out? This pushes back slightly, and then you can come up with it. So there you go. That's that one mostly out of the way here. You can see this other metal clip that you spread the two pieces of metal here, and it comes off. I might reuse that for the other one, for the bottom side of it. The Jackspania one looks like it came with the same kind of deal. And then let's take a look at this other one over here. Not exactly sure how that one comes out. It kind of looks like it's just pressed in there. Let's go ahead and start working at it. The piece that's back there, it does twist a little bit. Hopefully you could see that, but I can't get it to, apparently it just pops up, and that'll help it come out. So I'm gonna see if I can take this off, maybe pull the shifter back a little bit, get some more access to the whole thing here. There's just another set of 2 10 mil bolts, more disassembly. Let's see if I can pull this back a little bit more. Not really, but let's see. Okay, there you go. So I was spinning it the wrong way. So this piece here, instead of going to the right, you go counterclockwise or to the left with it. Looks like it just, made a little popping noise, came out of place, and there you go, that popped out of the way. So then make sure all the cables are, some of them are stuck to the side of it. You can see I got this one still here. You just pop it off, and then that whole shifter should be able to come out. Floating around in there. And this is that whole shifter finally removed in there. You can see the ball underneath. That's where this stock shifter cable connected to. And now we're going to go in the engine bay and work on disconnecting these shifter cables from the transmission itself. And then I should be able to pop them out. One thing I do want to show you, might be a little challenging to see all the way in the back there because it's hiding. Get the camera position better. All the way down in the back there, right back here, there's a rubber grommet that'll pop out of place so that these 2 shifter cables that go in the grommet, they'll be able to slide down underneath the car. All right, time to go in the engine bay. So obviously, due to the turbo, being in the way down here, it's going to require a lot more disassembly. Hopefully, you could see down underneath the turbo itself here, there's a couple of 10 mil bolts that hold these stock shifter cables in place. One of them being right here. You're gonna be able to see that. One of them being over there, kind of behind the turbo drain. Let's see. One of them being right here as well. And then there's one on the underside, and then also this is the other one, and then one on the underside of this as well. Hopefully you can kind of see that on camera. I know there's a lot going on right now in this engine bay. I'm going to try to, I got to remove the turbo blanket just to get access to the bottom there, and hopefully I don't struggle too much to pop those out of place so I could run these other ones. And it looks like to get this turbo blanket off, I got to take off this, the top strut bar here that I put on before. So bear with me, let's see how this goes. One right here, and there's one underneath that I gotta come off, and you can see there's not much room between the wastegate and this edge where this is supposed to come out. I really don't want to have to remove any of that stuff. That'll be annoying, but we'll see how far I could get with that here. Alright, that's a couple of those things removed. I took off the turbo drain. You can see the bottom of the turbo drain right here. Took out this top bolt, took out the two that go for this other side over here. There's just one more underneath this shifter cable that's buried under the shifter cable itself. I'm gonna see if I can maybe pop the cable off, pop both of them off, and maybe move this slightly out of the way, and I'm able to get a wrench down there or something. Oh, there you go. Okay, that one's finagled out. You can see it came out pretty okay. This other side, I'm not entirely sure. Sweet, right, perfect. So I got these over on this side here. I was able to get it around. Look how close that is. I was able to get around that area, which is fire. So now I'm going to go under the car here and then take a look at where these go back up into the the center console area. Pop that rubber grommet out, and I should be able to fish these hopefully out towards me, and then I could try to fish the other ones back in. Alright, so up under the car here, this is the grommet I pointed out from the center console that needs to come out, and then here's the two shifting cables that run to the engine bay. So just gotta somehow pop this grommet out, I guess. Yep, alright, so these two shifter cables are coming through fine, and then over here it looks like there's actually a metal bracket that's holding these shifter cables. So I'm gonna try to see if I could take them out of there or pop this bracket off somehow. Okay. Alright, I'm going to finagle with this and we'll come back when they're out. Didn't take me too much longer, but so here's the stock, both of the stock shifter cables. There's just this one. I have the other one inside. Of the new shifting cables, this is that metal bracket I was talking about to pop off here. You can see there's a 10 mil that, this folds open that holds in this shifter cable in place. There was this other one hiding and I couldn't really get to it. So it was much easier just to take, there was a 12 mil in it, just take the whole thing off, and it came off with the shifter cables. I might not reuse this depending on the location of these. Might just be easier to zip tie them to something for the future. And then this grommet is gonna be, from what it looks like online, you just cut the grommet and then swap it over to the new shifting cables, just so it keeps that seal in the engine bay there. All right, so now I'm working on cutting the rubber grommet off of the old shifting cables here so I can put it on the new ones, just so it seals up that hole on the underside of the car. All right, cool, and then I'm gonna feed, got the two other cables right here on the ground. I'm gonna feed these through under the turbo first, and then I'll probably try to slip this on under the car and get those positioned correctly. It'll make it a little easier to do these one at a time just because of how little room I have back there. All right, got those most of the way in. You can see both of them hanging out here. So it's in just about the same position as the other ones. You can see this green colored line right here, this guy. That's one of the lines for the power steering rack. And then these are just gonna kind of sit at this angle right above it here. And then, you know, I'm gonna jam them up through the hole that's on the underside of the car here. That's where that grommet goes, and, you know, they go into the cabin for the shifter itself. So let me work on that now. Something like that. And then I'm gonna figure out which ones, you know, I guess like the left and right versus the forward and back motion on it, and try to position these so they're not twisted, because they'll have to sit in that grommet. You know, I might have them like flip. All right, I'm back, and I was able to confirm that this one that's on now goes to this position, and how I figured that out is in the car, and or the other end to that specific shifting cable is the one with this ball on it, or it goes to the bottom of the shifter, whereas this one goes to the side of the shifting linkage. So the one that goes to the bottom of the shifter is for like actually putting it in gear instead of like checking if it's in neutral. And then this one is how you check if it's in neutral. When you go side to side with it, it'll move this one up and down. Whereas this other one is how you check which gear it actually is sitting in. So I'm gonna finish, this one's kind of all out of whack here. I'm gonna try to see if I can sneak this one into place, and then hopefully put both of these into their places here, and then maybe tighten in those two 10mm bolts, and or from there I'll probably go underneath the car to check, make sure they're not twisted on there, and I gotta put that rubber grommet back on as well. All right, and then I'm gonna crawl back underneath now, grab this rubber grommet, hopefully put this back into place. All right, they were just twisted one way. Hopefully, if you could see it up over there, they were kind of twisted, so I just moved them. Now they're going to be situated like this in the car. And then let's see if we put this on the ground. Get this rubber grommet going. update after a little bit of time here. It took me a minute to get this pushed into place correctly. I couldn't get this tab or corner into seat correctly, so now it's all seated in there, all set. And now I'm going to work on, in the engine bay, probably putting those bolts back in, getting the rest of the shifter all assembled in the engine bay side of it, and then I could go put the shifter itself back into the car. With that for a little bit, I got all 4 of those bolts back in. Both of those are all, tightened up now and in the spot where they need to be. Now I'm going to take the shifter here and we're going to move to the car, or inside the car at least, to the next step, which is going to be putting this in and hooking the rest of these cables up to the shifter where they're supposed to go. So hopefully I'll get you guys in a good position here and show you how I do, or how most of this is going to go here. Do I have another light? I do not. So this is going to sit down in there, something like that. Let me grab the other light. Is in the front of this shifter that we have here, there's these 2, or I guess 3, but 2 spots where these cables are going to go up and through. Get both of them lined up here. Alright, I'm going to try to get some of these other spots situated here, hopefully get this one a little bit closer where it needs to be, and then you can see that bolt that I used for this side, and I popped the bottom one in already as well here underneath. So in the car here, got the shifter kind of positioned where it goes. The one with the ball end on it looks like that here, goes through the middle one. And I'm pretty sure this section here that kind of spins, or the adjustment for it, is going to go on the other side of this. So then the clip is going to go right here. And the same thing with this one, it goes through on this side over here. So then you could also use the adjuster here. So I'm going to try to get those, positioned properly here, and hopefully it goes successful. Somewhat in position there. So you could see this one is lined up somewhat with that. You eventually, I'll have the clamps, they're coming in, will go into this section here. Same with this one, and it'll straighten this shifting cable out a little bit better for where it needs to be. And then you could probably use these screws to adjust the shifting cable itself to make it a little bit tighter. I'm going to see if I could get these other ends here, this popped on, as well as the one that goes underneath. See if we get that popped on at least. I'm still missing one of the clips to hold in both of the shifting cables in the back over there. So I'll get these other bolts in. I got this guy in. This guy's also popped on the bottom. I'll put all the other 4 corner bolts in, and then I'll come back and show you guys what it looks like. The last update for this video. So I finished getting the shifter fully installed, including the makeshift bolt and nut that I have over here to hold the shifting cable on. The clip that holds the shifting cable itself in, as well as I put the metal clip on the bottom part of this piece so it holds it into place. And then as well as in the engine bay, as you already saw, I had the shifting cables in place. I just put some clips through them to hold those in place. Shifter feels really good right now. I'm going to have to go for a drive and see if, make sure all the gears actuate correctly. And then I maybe do a little, if you guys want to see a review of it, I could give my opinions on another video. For the future here, I do have an RBC manifold that I'm going to be installing in the engine bay, as well as some lower control arms with stiffer bushings on them. So, stay tuned for those videos. Thanks.